Welcome to Doncast Deep Dives. This is where we explore the stories, the themes, and the creative journeys behind Compilations from Don. That's the celebrated series of musical narratives and reflections by Don Phondeaux. And this is episode 1, August 28, 2020. Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission today really is to get into the very first entry of Compilations from Don. It's kind of our window into the mind, the creative process of Don Phondeaux. He's this force blending music, storytelling, and cultural expression.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is how Don uses these compilations. They aren't just like playlists you throw together. They're collections of themed musical experiences, but they're woven together with his personal essays too. So each one, like this August 28th entry, it's a real deep dive into lived experiences, ambitions, the cultural stuff that sparked the sounds. It's definitely more than just the songs themselves. It feels like he's sharing a slice of his journey, his philosophy as an artist.
Right. So this specific one, August 28, 2020, it's special. It marked the start of something pretty significant for Don. He's apparently revisited it a lot, and it always gets good reviews. It even earned him that trusted spot with the O, which, let's be honest, is a huge badge of honor. Being trusted with the music, that says something.
Absolutely. And if you zoom out a bit, you see how it highlights that personal connection, the artist's evolution. Don actually shares that this collection, it's sort of became the unplanned soundtrack to this day he had in Braamfontein, full of friendship, laughter, a renewed sense of purpose he shared with his friends Mocha and Jay. It really speaks to how powerful those shared musical moments can be, rediscovering joy, being present, and how early work can really set an artist's course.
And he tells us one story about being in a salon. It's quite telling. He was playing the compilation, right? And most of the staff there, they were from different African countries, backgrounds very different from his. And he first thought, okay, maybe I'm the only one really feeling this because everyone looks so busy just doing their thing. But then came the surprise.
Oh, yes. And that's such a fascinating point, isn't it? Because it shifts things. It's not just about what the artist intended. It becomes about how the audience receives it, how it lands. So Don found out it was resonating when he had to disconnect his phone or whatever he was playing it on. A couple of the women there were genuinely like, man, they were disappointed. They thanked him for the vibes. One even told him he'd managed to cater to different palates, different tastes with his selection. That moment was huge for him, a revelation, the first time he really grasped that his compilations could, bridge these gaps, bring strangers together, even across different backgrounds. It just shows that unexpected power of curated sound, how it can create these spontaneous moments of shared joy, proving that maybe there are universal palettes after all.
It's really interesting how that initial connection, the creator's own feelings about the work, shapes its life later on. Don also mentions singing along a lot with Mocha and Jay to tracks from this collection, but then over time he played it less, which makes going back to it now feel like incredibly refreshing for him. He says he's often surprised by what different people pick out from it, what they highlight, but for him, every track is a hit.
And that's such a beautiful reflection on how music kind of grows with us, right? It evolves. He even mentions finding new meaning just by finally figuring out lyrics he'd been butchering or, mishearing for ages. And that really highlights something cool about creative work itself, how even the artist's own understanding changes. You find new layers, new relevance, maybe just because you've changed. So this collection, even though it's named for a specific date, it ends up feeling timeless. It reflects the present somehow. It holds nostalgia, sure, but also these high hopes for what's next. He says it can get him through pretty much any day.
Okay, let's dive into some specific tracks Don called out, because each one seems to have its own little story or technical angle. First up, Angelina by Jules. Don says this one just always gets him singing. And he finds False's verse actually gets deeper, more profound every time he hears it, even though the dialect keeps him on his toes linguistically. What do you think makes a verse like that hit so hard, even with a bit of a language barrier sometimes?
That's a great question. Often, I think it's the pure musicality of how it's delivered, the rhythm, the cadence of the words, or just the raw emotion you can hear in the voice that kind of transcends needing to understand every single word. Plus, Jules' production style, that intricate but kind of understated Afrofusion beat definitely helps create this compelling vibe. Then you've got Patience by Nas and Damian Marley. Don says that one puts him in a trance. And the message, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Wow, that really does stand the test of time, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Timeless. And the way that track blends hip-hop and reggae, those roots music styles, It creates something so powerful, but also really makes you think. It's got staying power. Then there's Blow by Starboy. Don apparently wishes he could write like that simple, sensual, evocative. What do you think goes into achieving that kind of elegant simplicity in music?
Well, getting to simple, sensual, and evocative often takes a surprising amount of restraint, actually.
Mm.
It's harder than it looks. It might mean like a minimalist arrangement where every single sound has its place, has room to breathe, nothing wasted. Or maybe it's a vocal melody that feels totally effortless but hits you right in the heart. It's often about carefully chosen elements that just hint at an emotion rather than spelling it out. Subtlety.
Yeah.
Next, Something New by Rick Jade. Praise for impressive lyrics, catchy rhymes, lush sounds, vibrant rhythm. Don describes it as complex in its simplicity. What does that usually mean?
Musically, right? Complex in its simplicity. It sounds like a contradiction.
It does, but it often points to music that seems straightforward on the surface, like a simple melody or beat. But underneath, you find these intricate layers, maybe complex polyrhythms hiding in there, or unexpected chords, or really subtle sound design details, stuff that makes you want to listen again and again. It rewards that deeper engagement.
Yeah, those layers are what makes a deep dive into sound so satisfying. And speaking of pulling you in, Tiwa's Vibe by Tiwa Savage. Don says that one always gets the ladies deeper into the collection, apparently, and he can't help singing along either. It's got that undeniable groove. And finally, Show Me Love by KLY. Top-notch production, top-notch vocals. Don says he sometimes forgets KLY is South African when he's lost in that track, just absorbed by the quality. What does top-notch production usually mean for a track like that?
For something like Show Me Love, top-notch production probably means really meticulous work. Layering instruments just right, getting a crystal clear mix where every element, every sound has its own space and clarity, and using studio techniques, effects and things, precisely to really amplify the emotion and the vocals, make them pop. It's all about that technical skill serving the artistic vision, making it shine. And what's so cool across all these tracks Don picked is how each one isn't just a song. For him, it's tied to a personal connection, a specific memory. It really shows how deep music gets woven into our lives, our perceptions, and how a good curator uses those personal threads to weave a bigger story for everyone else.
Yeah, the significance is pretty clear, isn't it? This whole August 28, 2020 deep dive, it just captures a moment, a time when life felt, well, limitless. It's a really powerful reminder, I think, that the right sound hitting you at the right time, it can genuinely bring people together, lift you up. It's like a perfect case study in how music can define and even elevate our experiences.
Exactly. And if you think about the bigger picture, the principle here, it just underlines how music acts as this timeless mirror to the present moment.
Sure.
It can stir up nostalgia for what was, yeah, but also give you this profound hope for what's still coming. It really highlights that idea that knowledge, information, it's most valuable when you actually understand it and apply it. And here, it's applied so deeply to the whole experience of sound and the real art of curation.
Thank you for joining this Doncast deep dive into compilations from a Don. For more stories, playlists, and reflections, you can visit the Don's domain at donphondeaux.com. And don't forget to check out Compilations from a Don for more of these curated journeys through sound and story. Enjoy loudly. Stay sound.